Forgive this. It's half day Saturday and spa day Saturday, hence all of this. And it's evening now, hence also it's quite gloomy. But anyway, I am about to fill in the form that I fill in when I notify of a burn off, and I just wanted to quickly show you this form that I fill in. I think I've mentioned it, but I'm not too sure. I can't remember if I showed you what it looks like. Not that it's particularly interesting, but since I'm about to do it, I thought, why not? I know the risk of filming computers through cameras like this is that they can go a bit mad, but anyway. So this is what the website looks like. I'll be notifying the emergency services that I'm going to be having a bonfire tomorrow. Click that and then this comes up, and then basically I have to go through all of this data, filling in where it's going to be and really like where the nearest intersection is, and then I'll be filling in things like the length that I'll be burning it for, what I'm burning, the size of the burn I'll be having. So they're like, is it the size of a wheelbarrow? Is it the size of a car? And I'll go through all of that and then I'll submit it. As I mentioned previously, is just so that if anyone notices smoke and phones the emergency services, they'll be able to check their database and they'd be like, well, there is a registered burn, so it's probably that, which means that no one will come out unnecessarily. Here we are, the site of my next either success or major failure. Unfortunately, it rained a little bit this morning. It wasn't supposed to. Mind you, it seems to rain pretty much every day, even when it's not supposed to. So this will be a challenge, maybe another failure, but definitely this is my last chance before it is supposed to rain. Let's see what happens. Some bonfires have a kind of aesthetic beauty. This is not one of them. This is a very, very scruffy bonfire. However, it is going, and it's enabled me to continue work on Operation Perimeter. I've just been working down at the pond. I'm going to grab the strimmer and trim some of the long grass down there. So let's go and have a look. There we go. I think Operation Pond Perimeter is basically complete. I've no intention of taking away all the vegetation from around this side of the pond, but it was getting a bit to the point where it was obscuring the view, and the grass is also very long. I might deal with sort of this patch of stuff, but it's okay for the time being. It's not really obstructing the view or getting in the way, but there we go. Another section of Operation Perimeter completed, thanks to yet another semi-successful bonfire. That looks much better. It's going to be tricky to keep it like this, so if we have another summer like last summer, this grass is going to go mad again. But anyway, very pleased with that. As you might remember, we're just now slightly further on from the first stage of Operation Perimeter, which means now the only section left to do is this section in front of the house towards the state forest. So that's a very small section and there's not much to do there, so infinitely achievable before the end of bonfire season. It's nice to see more and more bulbs coming up down in the what I call Japanese garden. Basically because there's 2 maples down here. Anyway, that'll grow in time. Pleased to see some of my hellebores are starting to think about flowering. Just walking away from my bonfire for the time being. It's smoky because it's burning damp green material. Not ideal, but I have to get rid of it somehow. Anyway, I've come up here because I left you last week about to plant my trees, and I have now planted my trees in the positions where I showed you. As I mentioned, I had lost 2 trees, a Chinese pistachio, which I replaced and put in my garden now, and a flowering dogwood, which I bought another one of and have put there. And I've supplemented that with 3 other trees, a flowering pear, a Persian ironwood, and a eastern redbud. So to mitigate against the problem I had with my first batch of trees, which drowned basically because it rained and rained and rained way more than I'm used to here. So the first few years we were here, we were in drought. So I'd sort of just thought, well, that's the weather. And then the weather pattern switched and we've been very, very wet. So what I have done is basically I dug a much, much bigger hole than I did originally for the first 2 attempts. And I've backfilled it with a combination of the soil that came out of the hole and an entire bag of manure and an entire bag of garden compost, which I put back into the hole and pushed down, and then I built a mound out of the same material on top, and I planted the trees into the mound. Because I'm on a slope, I take the earth that I dig out to create the hole and I bank it around the downward part of the slope to try and keep water in. It's a balance. I don't want it to drown, but I don't want it to dry out. And then I needed some sort of guard, and I'm not in the position to get all the chicken wire that I would need at the moment. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? And basically I kept all this packing bubble wrappy stuff from when we moved for work on the garden. I thought, maybe I'll try using that. So I've made these giant tree guards, and what I hope that might do actually is that because we're still in the depths of winter, it might help make this area inside the tree a little bit warmer to help the tree get going a little bit faster and to help it establish that little bit sooner before we hit the stress of the height of summer. So they're all looking good so far. My hope is that essentially what I've kind of recreated by doing that is as if I had have planted them in tubs. So it'll take quite a long time before they reach the clay layer, which is quite a long way down beneath them. And in the meantime, they've got some nice soil around them to dip their roots into and hopefully start springing into life. And then what I'll do probably intermittently is keep topping this up. So I'm hoping that not only will that give the plants something nice to grow, but also as the manure starts breaking down, it'll start to improve the clay layer below it. So I hope that's got a double whammy effect. Anyway, I'm very pleased with how that went. I'm just taking the opportunity, I guess, to have a quick look because I haven't come and had a look for a while. They're all looking fine. These things are a bit temporary. Sort of scrabbled around looking for things. Just don't want them to get munched, or even like Vita to come along and decide that this lovely mound is an excellent toilet. But they're all looking good. So far so good. I'll keep you updated. Now I'm going to go and check on my bonfire, and I think I might carry on with Operation Perimeter because it's still pretty early in the day, and it's a nice day at that, so why not? Can you hear that? It's the honeybees. After all this time, it's still a bit difficult to adapt how different things are. You know, in Scotland this is January. But here, it's April. Because I find myself with a little bit of extra time on my hands, I thought I'd carry on with Operation Perimeter. You may remember I started over there and I've just done the pond, so I've crossed the drive, and what this area is, this is what I call my autumn colour walk. So all I'll be doing here is taking out some of these plants that are starting to overcrowd the path, just take them back a little bit, and just to help re-establish the path. And to jog your memories, what I've got down here are a few, I hope, fast-growing trees that will provide me some beautiful autumn colour. And I invested a little bit more money in these and bought slightly larger trees than the bare-rooted ones I planted last week. So this is a tree called a pin oak. This is my claret ash, which is already about my height, so over 5 foot. And then lastly down here, this is a tree that I did buy quite young and therefore quite little. And this is my liquid amber. And then we come out of the autumn colour walk onto the lawn. So as you can see, starting to get a bit of crowding from the native plants that are sprouting up here. So I'm just going to take them back a bit, help re-establish the path, give the trees room to breathe. There's one thing that I wanted to give an update on in terms of the house. Essentially this is a cupboard I inherited from my nan, and I not only think it's very attractive, it's also great sentimental value to me. And it transported okay from the UK, but when I was unwrapping it, the door here, sorry that it's dark, there's not much I can do about that. The door fell out and smashed into 1,000 pieces. And I finally got my act into gear this year, and in March I ordered a replacement piece of glass. And I waited and waited and waited and waited. Apparently they received the order and then forgot about it, and then they were prompted when I reminded them and remembered, and here it is. Apparently it was a bit technically difficult because they had to drill a hole here for the handle. But I'm so delighted, it does make a big difference. You'll notice though that the glass either side is decorated, and so was the door. This glass is now just a plain piece of glass. It looks pretty good, but what I'm wondering I might do is get some paint and recreate the pattern on the door. I've kept the original door, and I thought, oh, all I'd need to do is place this on top of it and draw over it. So I might do that. It depends on how similar any sort of gold paint for glass I can find is to this. I know that like what's sold as gold paint can actually be sort of quite a dull, brassy, boring affair, and this is very jolly and bright. You know, just a quick update. I appreciate that this won't mean anything to anyone else except for perhaps me and my parents, or me and my dad. But anyway, I'm pleased about that. New door. Whilst I'm at it, I've got a couple of things that I can update you with on the garden. So let's go and have a look. I've arrived at my younger citrus trees. So I have got here, came with the house I inherited, an orange and a lemon. And I've been wanting to expand the citrus, have a little citrus glade, a little citrus grove or avenue, whatever. And as a housewarming present, someone gave us a lime. And I bought recently a lemon. But what's different about this lemon is that apparently it's so sweet you can just eat it. I was just walking to my potting shed the other day and looked over, bearing in mind that I fed this on Sunday, so just a few days ago. You may not be able to see, but some fucker has eaten every single leaf off of this lemon, which is doing really nicely. It had even started to flower again. I pinched the first flowers off because it was a bit too young to fruit. I wanted it to establish a bit more, but it was establishing, it was growing, and then some wallaby, he might be here. He's been hanging around. Oh, I can't see him. Quite a big adult male wallaby has obviously developed a taste for citrus leaves and helped himself to every single leaf off this now very sorry looking lemon tree. And he had started on the lime. So, yeah, and here too. He's made a start on the lower leaves of the lime. So I very, very quickly and crudely have established these guards, such as I had put around the trees that I was showing you previously. It is all a bit temporary, and I hope it's enough just to deter him. I did a bit of research, and like nil desperandum, I think there is a chance the leaves on this will just grow back. Lemons can just lose their leaves if they're under stress and sort of call it quits for a year, and then they'll try again next year. So I'm hoping that it'll spring into life and it'll start off again okay. And obviously he hasn't been able to do a lot of damage to this one, so I'm hoping that's, rudimentary as it is, I'm hoping that's enough protection for now. It's very irritating though, because I've very, very, very seldom seen wallabies go for citrus. I might occasionally see one like having a munch off a leaf. So it just goes to show the animals here are both a blessing and a curse. They're cute to look at, but oh my goodness, they do not make gardening easy. Like even Vita, I had hoped that these aquiledias would be okay, but I came out earlier and basically Vita had seen this lovely pile of earth, freshly dug with a nice dung donut, and she took a shit in it. So I had to excavate down to try and find the aquilegia, and then make a cage of sticks, so that they previously didn't have one, and I put a cage of sticks around that.